We're going to talk all about the Titan scrubber today. But before you even begin using your scrubber, floor preparation is the most important step to cleaning your floor. Using a dry mop or a dust mop to go over your floors completely, removing all of the large particles, dust and debris, hairs, things like that is going to be extremely important in preparing your floor for the scrubber. Doing this keeps those hairs and extra dust and lint and fuzz out of your scrubber. Therefore, we can help prevent some of the clogs and some of the other issues that you can have later. When you're actually ready to start the scrubber, you're going to want to perform a quick inspection. You're going to want to check the squeegee to make sure there isn't a bunch of stuff stuck to it or any nicks in it. And you're also going to want to check that little wheel on either side of the squeegee. Make sure it's not stuck and there's a bunch of hair and dirt and lint in it so that it's working properly. You can also check all of your hoses to make sure they're connected properly. Once you've thoroughly checked over machine, you're ready to fill it with water. This happens at the very front of the machine. There is a large circular knob that you take off, and inside there is the clean water tank. You always fill your tank with cold water. And once you've filled it, then you're ready to add your chemical. Don't add your chemical first or you'll have lots of suds. At this location, they're using Super Shine-All with a dilution rate of 1 ounce per gallon of water. There are a lot of different chemicals in our arsenal that we can use in the floor scrubbers, and it's dependent upon your location, how much dirt there is that's coming in, what time of year it might be. So we can also use things like Nutri-Rents or Suprox, and that's going to be determined by your location once that scrubber is introduced. Once the tank is filled and you are ready to take the machine to the floor, you're going to start here. When lowering the squeegee, I want you to be very aware of this handle that is connected to a wire. We always want to lower this handle slowly and carefully, not quickly, not throwing it down like you saw there, but lowering it very slowly and intentionally. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to attach the brush head. So if you see there when she pulled that handle, the brush head holder dropped. And when we push this very first button there that she's pointing at, that's what's going to connect the brush pad to the machine. And it does it automatically once you're hovering over top of it. Here you see that happen. She's connecting it. That second button is what causes it to start spinning. The third button there is what turns the water on to start the machine. So once your squeegee is lowered and your brush roll is turning, then you are ready to start scrubbing. Now the machine does all of the work for you when you're scrubbing. What your job is to do is to pay attention to your pattern so that you do not miss sections of the floor. This is a wonderful machine and it works really hard. Your job really is just to keep it going in a nice straight line and keep track of where you are so that you don't overlap too much and you don't miss sections. So following those tile lines, the edges of the tile is a good way to kind of create yourself a pattern. And then following that pattern each and every time. Sometimes your floors are going to be extremely dirty and you're going to have to do something called double scrub. And what that means is your first time across the floor, you do not put the squeegee down, but you run the scrub brush and you run your water. Then you allow it to dwell on the surface for 10, 15 minutes, whatever's required by the chemical you're using. And then you would go ahead and lower your squeegee, keep your brush running, but turn the water off and scrub the floor again. Just be careful not to slip. Once you're finished scrubbing, then it's time to clean up the machine. So you're going to want to make sure to raise the squeegee and raise the brush pad attachment so that you can walk freely without dragging anything on the floor. Go ahead and walk back to your mechanical room or your closet, wherever your drain is that you have, whether it's out the back door or in a closet. And then you can go ahead and take this lid off. That way you're able to see what you're doing. And on the back there is a hose that you have to unscrew to loosen it and then pull the plug. And out of there is going to come all of your dirty water. You can go ahead and just let that run down the drain. If you have a hose in your mechanical room, use that hose to kind of rinse the machine as it goes down. Being very careful, that kind of mesh hose that comes out there, that is the vacuum hose, and we do not want to ever get water in there. So we kind of have to be very careful when we rinse that. We want to keep the dirt and the debris off, but don't get water up into that pipe. And then rinse that out as you go. This is just another image of what that hose looks like on the back that you're going to take off to drain that water tank. This is sometimes what it looks like if there's not a good place to rinse out your tank. And this is if we aren't cleaning that vacuum filter, the air filter. And if you don't have a hose in your mechanical room, you're just gonna have to use a bucket, kind of an old-fashioned way, and you're gonna rinse it out, and you're gonna just brush the debris out as you go. Keep rinsing and brushing that debris out. You wanna clean this tank out completely. The cleaner you keep your equipment, the better your equipment will take care of you. It's gonna last longer. You're not gonna get as many clogs in it if you regularly maintain it and clean it. So it's really important to take care of your machine. I know it's an extra step. Sometimes it means an extra 10 minutes to your shift, but it's really going to make the machine last longer. You'll wanna dry it out. Any extra dirt or grime that might be stuck to the sides is gonna come off there. And then to store it for overnight when you're not using it, you're gonna stick that lid just inside the dirty water tank. That way it can completely air out and dry out. It's gonna keep it from stinking. You'll wanna keep an eye on your brush pad that cleans the floor. Did you see how she twisted that to kind of unlock it? Yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to change it out. Now the cool thing is we can use both sides of that pad. So you're gonna wanna take this clip off. You kind of pinch those together and then pull it up to unsnap it. And then it just Velcros to the heavy metal piece that attaches to the machine. So you're gonna wanna unvelcro it, and if both sides are dirty, you're gonna wanna start with a new one. Otherwise, you can just flip it over and start with the new side that you haven't used before. But you wanna just go ahead and press it down so it kind of attaches and adheres, and then you just have to push the clip down and clip it back into place, and then you're ready to go. You'll just set it underneath the machine. You set the machine down on top of it to hover, hit the button, and it will attach itself. Now, it's not recommended to transport these machines very often, but it does need to be done sometimes if we're changing a location for it or if we're taking it to a top to bottom. So this is kind of the proper way to do it. You're gonna wanna remove the battery first and foremost because the battery is the heaviest part of the machine. In order to take that off, you're gonna disconnect it with that red plug you saw her pull out first. And then you wanna pull the handle down that releases the scrub pad. You push it down, and what that does is kind of just tip that battery back just a hair. And then you're gonna go ahead, and if there is one of these straps on your battery, you're gonna wanna loosen it and pull it apart. That's just holding the battery in place so it doesn't accidentally fall off on top of you. It's just a safety feature. And not all of the machines have that, but if it does, release that, then tip the battery backwards. Make it a little bit easier on yourself, and then go ahead and lift it out. Make sure you are using the proper lifting techniques to do that because these batteries are extremely heavy. Then you can go ahead and lift that handle back up. Kind of shove these little cables back in there so they're not dangling. And then to actually transport, you're gonna wanna always go backwards if that's a possibility. There's only one small wheel in the front there, but there's two big wheels in the back of this machine, and so the best way to go is backwards where the big wheels are doing the major work. If you have to go forwards, tipping the machine up like that will make it a little bit easier for you so we do not snap that caster wheel. You'll never want to get a running start and kind of ramp it up somewhere. We're going to wreck that caster doing that, and you're going to cause damage to the squeegee and other parts of the machine. So almost always walk backwards, making sure your squeegee and your pad are up. When you get to location and we're ready to put the battery back in, you kind of just do the opposite. Push that handle down for the brush pad, making sure your top strap is out of the way, and then tip the battery in, just like you saw Janelle do there. And then you can go ahead and attach the strap to make sure it's securely in place and it doesn't tip off the machine onto your feet. And then you're gonna wanna reattach the plug, the red plug, which you'll see here do shortly. And then you're ready to go. That machine will be working well for you, and you've got it back in place. Put that handle back up there and reattach the plug. Okay. To charge the machine, you can charge this machine every single night. It's kind of got one of these smart batteries and smart chargers that it's only going to charge when it needs to charge. If it has a full charge, it doesn't keep sending electricity through the machine into the battery like our chargers used to do. It will actually stop charging. So you're going to want to put one end of the charge cord into the machine, and then the other will attach into the wall. The thing to look for once you plug your machine into the wall is to make sure that one of the 3 lights is on. There are 3 different options. Red on the bottom means it's not charged. Then there is a mid-charge, and I believe that one is yellow. Green means the machine is charged. So wherever the status of your battery is doesn't necessarily matter for right now, just that you want to make sure the light is on so that your machine is actually plugged into the electrical source and is charging before you leave work. As I'm pretty notorious for saying, if you take care of your equipment will take care of you. If you follow these practices and take care of your machine, it will run more smoothly for you and cause less headaches. It will reduce the number of major maintenance calls we have to make. There is always going to be some troubleshooting, and there are always going to be incidences, but we will reduce them. For those of you who don't have one of these machines at their location, I hope this helped you be a little bit more confident so that when you do have to use one, you will be ready.